Oi. All right, cool. Hello again.
Hello.
Hello again. So, segment 2. The topic of this is...
The art of getting the job you want.
Nice. I like that. It sounds like a book title.
It does. Maybe it is, and now we're going to get flagged for copyright.
Yeah. Some guy's like sitting there like, what? No.
He's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
So yeah, what do you want to share with the people about what that's about?
Well, recently I've been interviewing. And it's like every single time I interview, I realize how hard interviewing is. Each and every time. And it's just, I learn one new thing after another, and it makes me realize that interviewing in and of itself is a skill. And it's not to say that if you don't practice your interview skills, you won't get the job. But if you don't practice your interview skills, you may not get the salary you want. You may not even get the exact job you want. Like, what I'm saying is, like, I haven't gotten by with just winging it. I always had to put in a lot of effort, and each time I had to interview, I just see like how much I've been lacking in previous interviews. Like, for example, like when I first started interviewing, I didn't really prep. I just went to the interview, and I got the job, but it's like, I didn't know how to negotiate, so I immediately took the salary. Yeah. And it just like, it didn't really get me anywhere. But then obviously too, like as you get older, you get more experience and you want more and more and more. I feel like just the stakes are higher, and it's like you really have to practice this craft and be really good at it. And the reason why it's so interesting to me is because recently I had an interview. I just got an offer, and I think we were talking about it like, moments ago.
Yeah.
And, like, this is the first interview that I feel like I freaking slayed. Everything just came together so nicely. Like, I had open body language. I was confident. Everything was easy to answer. I answered questions not only well, used relevant examples. Like, everything I researched, it's like I came in, like I told you, it's like I came in with 2 swords and just slaughtered everyone, and there was no survivors.
Yeah.
Like, nailed it. And it just got me to think that, like, exactly what I just said before. It's like you really have to, like, research the interview process, depending especially on which job you're going to get. You need to practice, the questions before you go in. You need to get comfortable with answering these questions. But also, the tricky part is not just answering these questions and being robotic. How do you inject your authentic personality in there as well?
Yes.
Because like we said before, it's like...
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah, you get so caught up in like trying to ace the interview that you either lose yourself in it because you're very rehearsed, or you're just kind of fearful and you just don't let your own personality shine. Yep. And that kind of sucks because I feel like it makes the interview process, at least for me, not very gratifying. Yeah. And it just feels like, because it was so inauthentic, I kind of like... it just feels like it wouldn't be like, a good match because they don't know who I really am. Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you start to become yourself, like we talked about, then they're like, who the heck is this person? Why are you asking for more money and only 3 months after agreeing to this amount and, or 6 months, whatever. It doesn't become good. And then it's like, oh, you told me you were this, and this. And it's not authentic. And we talked about how you can't keep that up anyway. No matter how hard you try, you can't keep up your good first impression mask all the time. Yeah. I've tried it, and it burns you the heck out.
It burns you out, yeah. And what I'm learning now, too, is like, at least I don't know about other people watching, but like for the longest time, I always saw like me interviewing as kind of like a please hire me type situation. Instead of it being like, this is a business transaction. Yes. I have to like you as much as you like me. Yeah. So now what I do too is I really pay more, not only do I pay attention and try to practice the interview questions I think the interviewer would ask me. Now I not only ask questions at the end of the interview to understand management and how things work better, but I ask ones that are very meaningful to me. So you have to make sure these questions are meaningful to you. Like, really sit there and think, if you want a fulfilling job, you want to see if this job is even right for you. Yeah. And I feel like, a lot of people struggle with that because they come from a place of scarcity, which is understandable.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of people, including myself, like the job is your sole income.
Yes.
So, you know, especially if you're someone who is not currently working, you're going to come from more of a scarcity mindset than someone who is working, because you're concerned about putting food on your table. So you can't really be your best self unless you really, really try.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where it gets really difficult, because you don't want to sell your soul to another meaningless job and be miserable.
Yeah.
But, you know, you also, you know, it's hard to walk away from something when you need it.
Yeah.
So I feel like what I'm trying to say is, you know, I guess, again, it depends on your situation. I can't talk for someone who doesn't have a job. But even me, when I was never in a position where I didn't have a job, I would always feel like that scarcity would creep in, you know? So I'd basically like take whatever job kind of came my way, didn't really negotiate, and was so scared of walking away, because I'm like, oh, you know, what if something like this doesn't come along?
Yes. Yeah.
But that's the lie we tell ourselves because we're scared.
Yeah.
You know? And also we're lazy. Who wants to do 20 interviews before they find the right job?
Yeah, not me.
You know? So
even if it's beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and what I realize is, like, you know, and I guess what's been so eye-opening for me, it's like, if you really want a job that's worthwhile, you're gonna have to work your ass off at getting it, unless, you know, you have the degree, your credentials all match up.
Yeah.
And it's a straight shoot. But for me, it's not.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's not. Like, I'm working with, like, I just got my bachelor's degree and I'm 29. So although I have 10 years of experience, it's hard because that experience is very kind of random. I started working first for a beverage company as an accounting clerk.
Yes.
Then sat as an executive admin. Then I worked as a procurement analyst at a gas and oil company.
That's right.
Yeah. Then I went back to accounting, and I was working again for another food company. Then I did a stint in sales. So you see how my background, although it's diverse, it's not specific.
Yeah, I like the distinction there. That's interesting.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like, and especially before I had my degree, a lot harder to even get people to even freaking look at me.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though I find it hard interviewing now, because now I really, like, I have a better sense of what I want, now it's kind of hard to make my background, that's another skill too.
Yeah.
Making your background relevant to the role, even though it may not exactly be as such.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, you know, it's just eye-opening at how hard you have to work and sell it. Like, I feel like everyone in some way, when it comes to interviewing, you need to be a salesman.
Yeah, they call it self-advocacy, don't they? You know, like, I feel like that's what you need to do. I've been learning to get better at that, because no one ever... It's so friggin' weird, man, because it's like, my schooling has taught me to follow the rules and listen and to become not a standout person, but follow the class, get back in line, you know, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, we want you to do the complete opposite once you get out of school and start finding a job, you know? And it's like, wow, I wish I had some, like, more practice with that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. No one teaches you that.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. You do have workshops at school. At least in my school, they did have resume workshops, which they helped. But here's the thing. They kind of helped because, you know, when I actually ran my resume by an active recruiter, they're like, nope, take this off, fix this that way.
Interesting.
So it made me realize, I'm like, wow, you know, this is kind of crap. Like, how many jobs have I submitted my resume where my resume was kind of wrong because my school fixed it for me, but now I have a recruiter here saying, like, no, do it like this. I'm like,
yeah.
How do you win?
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard.
Well, at the end of the day, too, yeah, you're right. How do you win? But at the end of the day, too, it's so varied, because applying it for like a zoo, like a zookeeper position is going to be different than applying for an accountant.
Exactly.
Which will be different from applying at a butcher shop. Like, so it is difficult. I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest. I'm like, do I try to follow the rules of, like, this is what a good resume is and this is what a good interview is? Because if you go online, you can find those.
Yeah.
Or do I try to play the crowd? You
Yeah.
know, and try to play specifically. Like, don't look at the general rules. Look at, like, okay, if I want to be an editor for a newspaper, like, what do they want? And I can put that together myself, or maybe a bit of both. I don't know. It's just so different all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to, like, not think about it. That's like what I've learned. I like how you're telling us, like, what you think should be said. Sometimes there's so much information floating around though that I just try my best and be authentic because I can at least keep that up.
Yeah.
And just be like, here are my skills. This is what I have. Can you do anything with them?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Because I don't know what else to say after a while, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, also look at your track record. I mean, for me, like, I saw exactly what worked and what didn't work. What exactly, like, after each interview, I was like, okay, what can I do better? But that's when I realized there's so much that goes into it, because you want, at least a lot of companies, the ones that I've been interviewing for, they want someone who's, you have to understand what type they want.
Yeah.
And what's a good thing to do, what I learned from the interviews, speaking with other recruiters, was ask the initial recruiter what kind of candidate they're looking for, but hear it from her mouth, because his or her mouth. Because you're gonna kind of get it from the job description, but that job description's very general.
It is.
Hear it from them. And I even would dare to ask a question like, when they set up the interview and they say like you're gonna be interviewing with the manager, be like, can you give me some tips on how to stand out as a candidate tomorrow? And a lot of them will tell you exactly what you need to do.
That's cool. And there's that specific information that we talked about.
Exactly. So, and I have to say, every single recruiter that I've come by has been more than willing to say, yeah, definitely go in with confidence. You want to definitely talk about the company in this way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, shoot, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But guess what? I never knew to do that until this freaking year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm also learning more and more that, like you said, talk about the company. Like, you should know a little bit about what you're going into.
You have to research.
I was so freaking worried about myself and my resume and the right answers that I need to give that I didn't really know much sometimes about the place I was interviewing, which is weird because I want to work there, right? So I should know about it. Also, like, hey, do you have any questions? Not really, because I don't know much about it. Like,
wrong.
I know.
Wrong.
I
yes.
know. I know now.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, but you see, again, like what you said, you don't freaking know that. Because, like, literally just this year, out of my 10-plus experience of working, only this year did I find out all of these things. Only this year did I realize, like, interviewing is such a skill.
Yeah, it is.
And, obviously going forward, I'll be doing better. Like, now I know exactly what I need to do. But exactly what you touched on. You got to interview the company. And you have to interject that information genuinely in the conversation. Like, one of the things that I remember standing out from my most recent interview was I told the manager, I was like, oh, by the way, your website is fantastic. Like, if I was a client looking for, I'm like, if I was a client looking to invest with your company, I would definitely do it because I appreciate your fiduciary statement that you make so clear on your website. I
appreciate that word.
Yeah. I'm like, it's clear that, you guys, your company is here to act in the best interest of the client. And that really speaks to me, even if I don't work here. And they were like blown away by that freaking answer.
Yeah. Sounds like an authentic buttering up statement.
Exactly.
Which is great.
Yes.
Because that's an authentic compliment.
Yeah, like I actually genuinely felt that way about it. But like, you kind of have to also, like, in the midst of the interview, when you're battling your nerves, because here's my problem. I don't know if this is everyone else's problem. Not so much anymore. Like I said, this interview like changed the game for me. I'm like, who am I?
Yeah.
But like, previous interviews, like I realized I'd be battling my nerves. I'd be like, oh my God, what to say next? Oh my God. And like, you'd also get overwhelmed by the information they tell you that you forget to interject these things that make you the better candidate.
That's true.
So that's why like, again, just leading back to the whole thing, like it's really such a skill and you have to practice.
Yeah.
Like one thing I think we were talking about was like recently, like although I want to get a job, I used a lot of my interviews as practice.
Yeah, okay.
And that took off the pressure, honestly. When I went in, instead of thinking like, oh, I want this job so bad, I'm like, let me do my best and let me just take this as a practice round.
Yeah.
And guess what? All of the I didn't get offers for like 2 of them because I dropped out. One was in Texas, like I told you. I'm like, I just don't want to move to Texas. But they were like, I had before I dropped out, I was gonna interview with the last person who's a sales director. Mm-hmm. So like, even though I went in like, let me just practice this, I advanced. Because guess what? When I went in with that mindset of I just want to practice, it took off a lot of pressure for me. And I was able to be my more authentic self. And I wasn't desperate. I wasn't thirsty for that job anymore. And I went into this mindset where It was more about me. Like I at that point I knew what my value was to your position and your company.
Yeah.
Now I want to know what you can offer me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm also at the point right now. Like I'm almost 30. I'm sick of like begging people. I'm tired of asking permission.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of like giving myself to a company.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, not really expecting much in return. Now I expect a lot in return. Like, I'm kind of sick of it. Like, I spent so much time in my life just, like, you know, oh, my gosh, my job. Oh, my gosh, the company. Yes. And now I'm like, no.
What do you have to show for it?
Yeah, we're turning that around now.
And some people might like that, you know? And that's the crazy thing is, like, it's so conditional. There's so many different things. Maybe that's why there's not enough, like, actual... like information about what the right way is to be an interviewee is because it's so different from person to person. So like you're like you basically just had like a kick butt go get it attitude, and like some guy or girl might be like, oh heck yes, we need her on the team now, and someone else would be like, whoa, she's probably not going to follow the orders, she's probably going to backsass. So like it's so tough to be like to do that. You just gotta like you know what you want, and that seems to be the best thing because then like an employer knows what you want. So they know if it'll be in line with what they want or not.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It's also knowing that, you know, if the job is not for you or if they don't want you, it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's something I had a hard time a long time ago. Not even a long time ago. Just like, you know, maybe like a year ago. Because just the rejection. Oh, my gosh. You know, just feeling rejected sucks. Yeah. But now, recently, it's like I've gotten, like, because I go in with a practice mindset, like, the rejection doesn't even bother me anymore. Yeah. Because, again, it just takes away that scarcity mindset. But just to touch on what you said before, like, you know, different people interviewing with you, you definitely have to read the crowd. Like, if I get a sense that, like, in my recent interview, I played off the two interviewers' personality so well because they had personalities similar to mine.
Yeah, nice.
Very open, very relaxed. You know, we even cursed in the interview. Like they're professionals, but like I said the S word, he said the A word.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but then in another interview I had, you know, the guy was the guy who was interviewing me, who was very like a personality I couldn't mesh with. He was like, I couldn't imitate it.
I feel like you could mesh with probably any personality. He probably had no personality.
He didn't. He was like, okay, so this is how the structure is going to go. First 20 minutes, I'm going to be answering questions. Last 10 minutes, you could ask, first 20 minutes, I'm going to be asking you questions. Please keep your answers short. Last 10 minutes, you know, you could ask me any questions. All right, go ahead. Here's the first question, blah, 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 blah. God. Go ahead.
Aye, drill sergeant, sir.
Yeah, and as I was answering, this is a virtual interview, he started, like, drinking his... Like, he looked bored. I was like, yeah, so I started working, blah, blah, blah. But then, as I was saying my answer, I'm like, he wants a short answer. This guy has no patience for a story. So I'm like...
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so let me wrap it up. All right, so the moral of the story...
Yeah, it's a 2-minute warning, by the way.
Oh, shit, okay. No, that was like 5 seconds. That wasn't 2-minute warning.
No, I mean like 2 minutes left before the video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess to wrap it up, you know, like, at least in my opinion, when it comes to the interview process, like, do your freaking homework. Like, figure out the interview questions that, you know, they're possibly going to be asking you. Answer those well, practicing them, have them in your arsenal. And then, obviously, research the company. Find things that are interesting to you in regards to the company. Hopefully, you're interested in this job overall, because that'll make you more excited.
Yeah.
And you have to interject your authentic self. And, yeah.
And you like this. This is like, because this is interest. So, like, this, you're interested about
Hell
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that interesting.
Hell yeah.
Because I don't find, this would not be one of my interests. So, I find it interesting when you said, like, you know, job searching and what they don't tell you. Like, I'm like, that's cool that's an interest of yours to begin with.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. Like, I see results.
Yeah.
Like, I see, like my interview today compared to other interviews, I'm like... Not my interview today. I didn't have an interview. But the most recent interview that I felt like I slayed that crap. Yeah. And compared to other ones, like, I see the results of, you know, what I practiced, what I researched, you know, what I went in with my different mindset. How did that end up? And it blows my freaking mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, you hear about, like, prepare for your interview, but what the hell does that mean? It means, like, research the freaking company, look at questions that they're probably going to ask you, ask them meaningful questions so you could actually get to know them, and also read their personalities. When you leave the interview, do they make you excited, or does that person make you feel bad inside? You got to really listen to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, it's probably going to end, so thank you.
Ending it.
Bye-bye.
Toodles.